Well, we have ourselves a very long gameplay. This is some EASHL World of Chell 3's Eliminator Tournament. And before anybody asks, no, this is not NHL 21, this is just NHL 20. In fact, I haven't gotten myself any gameplay of NHL 21 just yet. In fact, all the gameplays on my computer are still NHL 20, and I'm just making more videos, trying to dwindle away those gameplays so I don't end up recording stuff from the past that is ultimately used for nothing. But this one's a pretty long one, so we have ourselves a beefy, juicy topic at our hands over here. Let's talk about Taylor Hall again. Not because the Vegas Golden Knights were involved in Taylor Hall, we spoke about that yesterday. But today, instead, we're going over some of the teams that were also involved on Hall, but who actually indeed offered him a contract. And in fact, some of these offers are just complete lowballs compared to what he ended up getting with the Buffalo Sabres. Now, first and foremost, big disclaimer, yes, I understand why exactly these were lowballs. A lot of these teams had their own cap situations themselves, and as a result, not every team in the NHL would have been able to offer what the Buffalo Sabres did, which was indeed $8 million on a one-year contract. This is great, because for Taylor Hall, he's playing with Jack Eichel, the best center he's ever played with in his life. He will be good with Eichel, but if the team is not good, then they can flip him at the deadline for assets with salary retained, and he can go to a playoff contending team. And depending on how that goes, also depending on how he plays with Eichel, he can get himself a big payday in 2021-2022. So, it does make sense taking a look at it from that perspective as to why the Sabres were able to get Hall. $8 million is a lot, 1 year it's not a lot. But we have reports from, first off, it's Frank Saravalli, and second off, it's Elliot Friedman, as to what these other teams were offering. Let's go over onto the 31 Thoughts podcast, the most recent episode, and we'll go over onto Funky Fresh Prince. I love this guy, man. We talk about this guy a lot here on the YouTube channel because he does a lot of great work summarizing radio hits and podcasts for those who aren't able to listen. Let's take a look at the Reddit post here on our hockey talking about what exactly was said by Elliot Friedman on Taylor Hall. Friedman says that Vegas Golden Knights team that we talked about yesterday that were interested in Taylor Hall, they offered him a one-year deal with a $5 million AAV. Okay, that is significantly lower than 8, which was the final number that he settled with in Buffalo. Furthermore, we have this. Colorado and Taylor Hall, Elliott says that he doesn't even think they got to numbers, but he thinks that because of the Saad deal, the Avalanche would have offered him something on the short-term side, around $5 million. Let's go over onto Frank Saravalli, because on the TSN radio earlier this morning, he had himself a mention where he said this, that the Colorado Avalanche was around in the $4 million range on a one-year contract as well. So Saravalli was speaking about the Colorado Avalanche, and he says it's about $4 million that they were offering 1 year. Friedman said it was about $5 million, also on a short-term side. Let's go back over, though, to Elliot Friedman, because he said this about Boston. They were willing to go higher for Hall, but they had to clear out room first. So on Saturday and Sunday, Hall was hearing from Boston that, yeah, we can do this, man, but we need to clear up the cap room first. Hall just wanted to know where he was going, and he decided on Buffalo because he didn't want to wait. So Boston, man, you guys, you were out there trying to go forward with it, trying to offer Hall a contract, but you needed to move the money to do so. And because of all those clauses, because you were saying, yo, man, we're going to get you done, we just got to do this other thing here first, man. Don't worry, we're going to get it done, just wait. You don't want to make your clients wait, man. You don't want to do that. You don't want to put them in a position where they have other options and they are waiting to get things done, because in a fast world like today's society, you don't want to keep people holding, and that's exactly why Taylor Hall eventually took what probably would have been a more expensive deal with Buffalo and did not wait for the Boston Bruins. Columbus was willing to go for a term on Taylor Hall, but Hall did not like the term offered, from what Elliott understands. This is an interesting one, too, because for the Columbus Blue Jackets, we all know they freed up a boatload of cap space. They were trying to go for Hall, Pietrangelo, Kekalainen said something about how those talks didn't really work out, but for Taylor Hall, It apparently does seem to be the case that a short-term deal was what he wanted, because we mentioned it off the top. There is an opportunity here for Taylor Hall to win a cup and still get the money he wants for next year and beyond. Because if the Sabres are bad, they can trade him at salary retained. It's only a one-year contract, so they won't be affected by that cap hit all too much. Trade Taylor Hall over to the Bruins or something, or a team that's going to be really, really good in the playoffs, and have Taylor Hall win his cup there. Afterwards, he'll be a free agent again, coming off of a Stanley Cup win and coming off of a season where he played the year with Jack Eichel, and this will give him the opportunity to cash in on the big bucks. If he gets a long-term deal with a team like Columbus, he doesn't have that luxury of being able to hop onto another team, win a Stanley Cup, and get even more money soon. So for Hall, this contract that he got with Buffalo is very, very beneficial. But we actually do have one more team over here that is noted by Frank Saravalli to actually have their name in the Taylor Hall sweepstakes itself too. The Edmonton Oilers were somewhere in the $4.75 million range in terms of what they were presenting to Taylor Hall. Now, this quote over here, it's from Reddit. It's based off of the radio hit that is linked in the description below. I'll leave a link down there. My gosh, this guy would have been able to sign in Edmonton for almost half of what we got in Buffalo. And I guess the money there, it's important, it definitely is, but I think this is kind of the philosophy that we spoke about earlier in the year as well, that Taylor Hall was willing to go short-term, he was willing to go cheap because he wanted to win a cup. And when we said in this video that, oh, maybe he accepts a $4 million deal to Colorado, I honestly didn't think that anybody would actually be offering him that. I was just completely memeing. I was like, yo, $4 million for Taylor Hall, 1 year, come over to Colorado, win a cup with McKinnon, how does that sound, buddy? And no, it actually was like that in real life, and I get that these teams have their own salary cap problems. The Oilers subreddit is kind of flaming, taking a look at the first comment over here. I'm just sitting here imagining, what if we didn't pay Cassian and we got Hall instead? And like, you know, some of these questions really come into play now, because Buffalo was in probably the best position out of all these teams when you take a look at everything and combine it into one narrative, because the cap space of the team itself does play a part in it. Even though Taylor Hall in theory was willing to go cheap, there's no way Taylor Hall would have accepted a sub-$5 million contract to play with an Oilers team that got eliminated in the play-ins. They lost to Chicago. Chicago was the second worst team in the entire return to play based off of regular season points percentage, and they beat Edmonton. So that's kind of just a funny little piece of trivia over here. I'll leave a link in the description to all this stuff down there below. The Reddit post talking about Funky Fresh Prince and Elliot Friedman's summary. Also Frank Saravalli's Reddit post and the radio hits themselves, the podcast and the TSN radio. Talk to me in the comments what you think about these lowball offers. Vegas with $5 million, Colorado with $4 to $5 million, Edmonton with $4.75 million. I hope you enjoyed this video. So that's 99, and bye.